Who are we interviewing today?
Yeah, so I met her through John Grossi, the lawyer we interviewed last time, and he had a box at the
Rangers?
Rangers game. Is that
Yeah.
where I went? I don't even remember watching the game. And
Die
yeah,
hard
yeah,
sports
I
fan.
literally don't know who they were playing, what happened, but I was in a box, and boxes are fun.
The Ranger game, for sure.
Yeah. So I met them at the box, and they were like power couple. Like she is, and she's like cool and normal and like they're funny. And so they were just like good to talk to. She has 8 practices, which I don't know about you, but I don't know anyone that has 8 practices. Like that's kind of
That's
crazy.
impressive.
And like she even practiced dentistry at this point. I don't know. So today we're speaking with Dr. Michele, the owner and founder of Kiddsmiles Pediatric Dentistry. Let's be very clear from the start. We aren't just talking about a small neighborhood office over here. Dr. Michele has built an empire with not one, not two, but 8 freaking practices spread across Long Island and neighboring towns. What I love about her story is that she actually grew up terrified of the dentist and has flipped the script and figured out how to make dental visits for kids not just tolerable, but actually fun. She's also really transparent about the fact that she didn't necessarily set out with like a master plan to own these 8 locations. She just built a really solid system and stayed open to growth and was able to keep expanding to where she is today. I noticed you kept laughing at me when I was calling her an empire. She is an empire.
I don't know if she likes to be referred to as an empire.
Why? That's like a major.
It sounds kind of like, we're taking over the world and
Yeah, that's
devouring and
badass.
yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I would love
Uh,
to be called an empire, just saying.
okay, you're an empire.
Thank you. So, yeah, I would love to have 8 practices as she does.
It's interesting, I mean, it is 8 practices. I've never heard of that. That's really unbelievable. And it's one thing if you do it by buying other practices and kind of, cobbling that together. To do it organically
Right, 8
and
startups is kind of
just
crazy.
eight, yeah, 8 startups that's a lot. What's also interesting, she's not self-promoting. Many of our guests who have their own businesses, they constantly repeat the name of the business. They talk about, how they built it, where they're going. She's kind of nonplussed about it. Yeah, I'll have a ninth business. It's kind of, I'm going to have a cup of coffee, go to Starbucks,
And
and
start a
then open
practice.
a 10th office, kind of things,
I know it's so true. She's really like not phased by the whole process, but I kind of feel like that might be part of the key to her success and that she's not like searching and forcing it at all. I mean, if anything, she's just like an opportunity came up and so I went with it and it worked out. Like it's so simple and I think that's a good reminder to people who are like at my stage in my career and they're like, I want to have 5 practices and blah, blah, blah. Like, I think if you go in with that mindset, that's not a good way to start because if you start wanting something so bad, then you start to force it more, you know?
I
And
think there's two sides to that coin. I think that some people have an idea and a goal, and if it's 5 stores, that's a good thing. That they're very directed and focused. On the other side of the coin, I would say she's more of I kind of react to situations
she
as they
follows
present,
opportunity.
and when things come, I assess and I act on it if I think it's worthwhile. But it doesn't sound like she's sitting there at night, mad scientist kind of putting this all together, which is interesting.
Really. No, I thought
So
she's great and I think a lot of people would like to have the career she does. All right, let's welcome Dr. Michele to Medical Morons.
I
Um,
hear you guys met at a Ranger game.
Ranger game, yes. Your very impressive
Nice.
daughter. Yes, it was
Yeah.
fun.
very we're very into the sports community.
Or you
Um
both are? Yes.
no, I was kidding because I was saying to my dad I did not watch 1 second of the game,
Oh,
but
we didn't watch the game either. We were talking the whole time. Yeah,
it was
I
just being
know.
in the box and chatting, which was fun.
Did you grow up on Long Island? Just out
Yes,
of
I grew up
curiosity.
in Dix Hills.
I grew up in Great Neck.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
we live in Brookville, so not far from Great Neck. Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful.
And
Yeah,
yeah. And one of my first offices was Manhasset. So a
great.
lot of my patients came from Great Neck.
And
There you
what did
go.
your dad do?
My dad was an immigrant from Egypt.
Hmm.
He came over when he was in his 20s and he owned a travel agency company. So we
Wow.
did a lot of traveling when we were young. Yeah. Yeah. And
Fun.
my dad being interesting about me is that my dad being an Arab dad, women really just like stayed home and had kids in his culture. So when I was like, I'm gonna go to dental school, he's like, why the hell would you do
Right.
that?
What's the point of
Why
that?
would you do that? My sister's an attorney. He goes, why would you do that? So my sister and I always joke, like, we don't, she's a very successful attorney. We're always like, how do we get here? Our parents gave us zero motivation to like be on our own. Like my dad wanted us to just get married to a rich guy and have kids and be a stay-at-home parent. It's so funny.
That is
Yeah.
funny. Maybe that's what you need is zero pressure might be the
Zero
key.
pressure, right? And here I am pressuring my kids every day. It's probably
Right.
not going to work. Yeah.
Right. We always get the pendulum always
Right?
swings.
The pendulum always swings.
That's
Exactly.
really
Yeah.
funny. So why don't we just start with your background, how you got into peds, and maybe your first job out of residency and what that looked like.
Right. So I was always like a pre-med major my whole life as a child. Always on that pre-med track, not so much dentistry in the beginning. In fact, I hated the dentist. I was probably the worst, most phobic patient ever. My mom, like, my poor mother had to go through hell with me getting me to the dentist. So I hated the dentist. I actually had like a dentist that tortured me. So I became very phobic. So dentistry was not on my radar. I got to college and my advisor, who I went to the University of Maryland, and my advisor was like, pre-med is good and medicine is good, but for a woman, it's like not the best lifestyle. If you want to have kids, if you want to have some free time, why don't you throw in a couple applications to dental school in addition to your medical school applications? I was like, yeah, all right, maybe. She's like, well, it's very medically oriented. It's the same thing. It's like medical school, whatever. So I did. I think I got into like at the time, and it's still the case, getting into medical school was impossible. So I think I got into like one medical school, but it wasn't like a great one. But I got into all the dental schools that I applied to. Decided to go dentistry, went to NYU. And then when I was at NYU, I found out that there even was a field of pediatric dentistry. I didn't even know there was a field of specializing in children. So when I went up to at the time it was on the ninth floor at NYU, there was this pediatric ward, and I was like, this is amazing. Like the kids like this place. They like coming to the dentist. Most of them were like all happy and they thought it was great. I was like, that's amazing. I grew up hating the dentist. So that turned my interest into possibly going into pediatrics. Just the thought of being someone that could change the thinking of a child different than what my thinking was, to actually like the dentist and not be phobic. So for me, it was more of a personal, like trip in that lane to get to where I am today in terms of that. Yeah. So
Nice.
I decided to specialize in pediatrics. I got into the NYU program from there, and here I am, pediatric dentist.
Love it. I so agree. I was a nightmare at the dentist. Dad, I don't know if you took me to any dental appointments, but I hated it. I hated it. So I totally agree with you there. So, all right. So you're at NYU Dental. Tell me a little bit about finding a job. Did you know you wanted to be a practice owner? Were you just kind of looking to get a little extra practice? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I did my 2 years of specialty at NYU, and my director got a call one day from a very busy practice in Long Island. The head partner, at the prime of his career, he was like in his 40s, decided to just like up and move and retire to Arizona. So there was an opening to cover him at his practice in Roslyn, Long Island. So he's like, who's your best resident? I was chief resident at the time. And she recommended me. So I interviewed, I got the job. And it was really like my dream job, because I thought at the time, all I wanted to do was get a great job and a great practice and maybe one day become a partner. I had no aspirations of going into my own business. I had no wanting of that. It was not even on my purview. So I got the job and I trained with this original founding partner for a year before he left. He trained me and he gave me all these like great tips and tools, and he was an amazing mentor. And then he left and the practice thrived and he didn't lose any patients, and all the patients who used to see him loved me, and it even grew even more. And then I was left with the other partner who wasn't the same as the first partner. So as partnerships sometimes happen, it didn't happen there because we just were not aligned in our values of the way I saw things. So I was kind of forced to leave, even though I didn't want to. But at the time, I had such a great following of patients, and I was just like, God, I feel terrible, like leaving these patients behind, and they don't even like the other partner. Like, it wasn't even like that. So my dad at the time was like, I found a location. You could just open up your own practice. And I was like, really? You think so? So he helped me with my first practice. I did it. I was pregnant at the time. It was like worst timing in my life to do that, but I just did it and it was great. It became a success. And then from there, I was like, you know what? This wasn't so bad. And maybe I could sort of cookie cutter this exact office in another town. So I did that shortly after. And then one became two, and then two became 8 offices, which I have now. Yeah, so
So
completely
crazy.
unexpected. I was not expecting to be in this position at all.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, because, a lot of our guests are practice owners, obviously, but going to 8, you make it sound so easy, but like, let's break it down for the people who are just trying to get everything together with one practice. There's so many pediatric dentists. Did you do the research to know which town needed another pediatric dentist? Like, how did you know that growing into another space versus just like growing your current practice was the way to go? What was your thought process?
I think at the time there was not a lot of offices like mine. So I remember like people would come into my office, like office A, and they were like, "Oh, my sister lives in so and so. She would love a practice like this, but it's nothing like that where she lives, but it's too far for her to come here." So that kind of made me be interested in going out to other locations. And I definitely did demographic searches, and I definitely didn't go into areas where there was other pediatric dentists at the time. So I definitely chose carefully where I went. And then I started to go into more retail shopping centers so that there was more traffic. And I would do my offices very fun, and there'd be like, like Disney characters coming out the walls and all that stuff. So that really helped as well, being in the retail level. And then I think, for me also to continue going ahead with opening up these offices, it's just having a really good team. For me, if I didn't have a good team, I don't think I would have done it. Yeah, definitely
So
not.
talk a little bit about some of the detail around that. So first of all, you said that there was something about the kind of practice that you had started that differentiated you from other practices for young patients. What was your kind of secret sauce there that you were able to put into place?
I think for me, every single thing was fun for the kids. Like, the fun decor in the office. Everybody's friendly. Everything had some sort of gimmick, like whether it was walking in and picking out, smelling the gloves you wanted the doctor to wear, they would pick out the flavor of the gloves, pick out the flavor of the toothpaste. We had like 50 flavors, the prizes, the fun of it. And just for me, the most important thing was that they had a good experience overall thing. Like if their filling wasn't perfect, but they had the best time and they didn't cry and it was so easy for them, that was a win. That was how I looked at it. So it was all about just having the patient experience and just making it really fun.
And was this something that you really kind of sat down and gave a lot of thought to, or was it something that you just kind of said, "Hey, let's try this or let's try that"? And
I definitely give a lot of credit to the mentor who I originally trained with from my first job. He was really cool. Like he was really good like that. Like he would like spend his days just like look at these toys I just found. We're gonna give them out. Like he was like really innovative with that. And then also in that first job, they didn't take any insurance there. And I remember some families like not being able to go there, and I felt bad for those kids because they had to like go somewhere else, or they had to go to their adult dentist who took maybe their parents' insurance, and they didn't have a good experience. So I felt bad for those kids. So when I opened up my offices, I started taking insurance and allowing people to use their insurance to come to my office because I didn't feel it was fair to the kids. Not the kids' fault that the parents don't have good insurance or have a lot of money that they can afford. So I always thought that that was a good thing to do. And I felt like, look, sometimes insurance doesn't pay as well as not having insurance, but it all adds up in the end.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And if you can reach more patients that
Yeah.
way, and obviously doing what you set out to do as a pediatric dentist. So, all right, talk a little bit about, because even, I mean, we're to 8 practices is an empire, in my opinion. Like it's not, I know people probably who have done 3 practices, and I'm sure that, there are other people out there, but it's like, I mean, how do you even keep track? You can't even focus one day a week on each practice because there's 8. So once you got 3 practices going, like what made you be like, we got to keep going, not just running these 3 on its own? You know what I mean? To build it into just like, okay, I have a lot of practices to an empire.
This having a good system in place. Once I had like a good system in place, then you could just duplicate it as many times as you want. And then as long as you have a good team in place, it's the same thing. So I could definitely open up another 2 more offices now. We have a centralized billing, centralized human resource, centralized insurance. So it's made that much easier. I always say it, like people are like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You have 8 offices. I'm like, you know what? It's not me. It's the team. Like, it's really not. It is the team. I really believe in that.
Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about first the systems in place? Because I know some offices and I'm like, if this person weren't in this office, it wouldn't run the same, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like you need those exact copies of people. So what about the systems did you find that made yours more like an algorithm than an individual
Every office
practice?
is the same. So the paperwork is the same, the flow is the same, the schedule is booked the same. Each office has its own manager. Each manager is trained by one central manager that I have. It's just very cookie cutter. The only difference is location and sometimes the clientele, depending on the town, is different. Everything is the same. Every kid comes in, has the same treatment, whether they have insurance or not, the same process, the same treatment plans, like very, very standardized. And that's what keeps it, if you keep it simple like that, it's easy to do more than 1 or 2 offices. That's what it's all about.
How do you manage that? Are you still practicing, or are you kind
Yeah,
of a
I
CEO role
practice.
now?
Yep,
Uh-huh.
I'm much more admin now. And I see patients about a day and a half a week now.
Hung up on Kylie's question earlier. With 8 locations, do you stop at every location every week or once a
No,
month,
no,
or how does
I'll
that
visit
work?
the off. No, I'll visit the offices periodically within, not every week. I won't rotate every week, the same offices around and around. I'll go every couple of weeks to that office, other couple weeks to that, that was, I'll stop in and say hello, but I manage remotely mostly. Everything now is I can zoom into the schedule. We do Zoom meetings with the doctors. I have 22 doctors that work for the practice now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but we have like group meetings together. And once I have a new doctor that comes on, I'll train with them and then they'll go on, me working in their office without me side by side. So,
And I assume, based on, especially since it's a kids focused practice, that there's a lot of emphasis on culture and nurturing and personality. So I guess two-part question maybe. One is, what qualities do you look for in the people that you're hiring? Not just the dentist, but
yeah.
also the
Yeah.
the support team that you have. And how do you cultivate that kind of culture and keep it going and build it, as you go along?
Well, that's the hardest part. The hardest part for me managing is the employees. It's hard to find good people these days, hard to find people with good work ethics these days. So that has definitely gotten harder and harder. Who are like team players, who are non-drama oriented, who have energy, who are motivated. Obviously, they're like kid friendly. We try our very, very best to find people like that. But that is probably the biggest challenge is finding people and having that culture match to ours. So it is a bit of a revolving door at times.
And in looking for those people, is there something about your interview process where you kind of hone in on certain qualities, or you have certain
Yeah, yes,
questions,
yes
or
and no. I mean, there's different levels. There's front desk people, there's hygienists, there's doctors, there's assistants. So it really depends. I mean, to be brutally honest, sometimes the front desk people are the hardest to find quality. They come and go. Assistants, hygienists, then it starts to get easier, because they're more clinically oriented, they're more focused on the clinical, they get it. But yeah, that is definitely the hardest part. How do I, and you don't know in an interview. They seem fine in the interview, and then you're lucky if they show up for the job the next week when they're hired. That's how it is now.
and how do you then keep that going and keep building the culture, the brand internally? Do you have offsites where you all go and do team building exercises?
No, I
What's your
don't.
strategy?
Thankfully, in pretty much every office, there's some people who have been there for years. So they get the culture, they know the culture, and they breed it within them to the new people. So it catches on, hopefully. And if it doesn't catch on to a certain person, then that person is removed. Yeah.
And I think you mentioned there's managers of each office.
Yeah.
And so did they start kind of as a front desk person and
Yeah.
work their way up?
Yeah. Definitely. Yep. all of them.
And so they get some type of, I don't know, equity or something in the practice that if it does better, they get a benefit from it? Like what kind of incentives do they have to make sure that, they're not just doing kind of enough, they're doing more than enough and going out of their way to make the practice even better?
Yeah, they're all on a bonus system at the end of the year. So depending on how the office does, they all get a better bonus for sure. Yeah, definitely it's money driven.
Totally.
And loyalty. There's some really loyal people to me. I've been very blessed to have some very loyal people behind me. In fact, one of my head insurance coordinator now, she was my assistant when she was 17. We laugh because like the first few Christmas parties, she wasn't able to go into the back bar because she was underage. And now she's 27. It's been with me for 10 years, but yeah, it's very funny.
That is cute. So can we talk about the eighth office you opened, just because it's the freshest and you've probably learned a ton in every time you start a new office, you have more and more wisdom. So what office was that? And what kind of challenges maybe did you have in starting that you weren't expecting or that you knew how to take on because of your experience with 7 other practices?
Yeah, so now we're kind of like leveraging off the brand, the Kiddsmiles brand. So it's kind of becoming like a known brand now, especially in Long Island. So people are like, oh, Kiddsmiles is coming here. So my newest office was Port Jefferson Station. So that is about 25 minutes from my furthest east office in Suffolk County. So it's in a retail level area. It's in an area that's more new and up and coming in terms of construction and building and everything out there. That one I did very simple in terms of the decor. I didn't go crazy on the budget there. I made it really nice and really colorful, but I didn't go crazy with some of the like effects I have in the other office because they were super expensive. So it ended up actually coming out really beautiful. It's like simple, clean, but fun. Probably one of my slower offices to uptick in terms of busyness because it's a little bit more of a rural, quieter area out there, like versus like my Queens office, which is a busier area. So that's been a little bit of a challenge out there, but it's trending fine. It's just what didn't go as fast as, like I said, some of the other offices, but you can't always judge that. But now with social media, a lot of it now has to do with social media. So we're upping all of our budgets and stuff with that now over there. So that's a whole new thing too. Like my first office, we advertised in the Penny Saver or in the local advertising magazine. So it's very different.
So talk a little bit about the social media and what you're doing, what kind of strategies you're employing, how you get profiled there.
I've employed a social media person, basically. That's how I took on that challenge. It's not my thing. I'm 51. Was not my generation. I can't believe how people put all their eggs in the social media basket in terms of picking their doctors and going on TikTok to find a doctor. I just think it's so outrageously ridiculous. The Google reviews, picking a doctor because the reviews are 5s when half of the reviews are these weirdos sitting at home writing reviews. I mean, half of our reviews now are from the kids that come to the office. They're like, the 13-year-olds are posting 1 star. They made me wait. They made me wait 10 minutes, 1 star. Like, this is what I'm dealing with now. Yeah. So I hired a nice young girl who does social media. She does it great. She does all the Google ads and Facebook and the Instagram. And the only thing I refuse to do is TikTok. I refuse to have my staff doing these little stupid dances and getting hits on TikTok. I mean, I just think it's absurd.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But I know that I have to do it. I have to play the game. You have to be in the game.
Yeah. So, do you think that's the best way that you're attracting new patients at this point is through socials or what?
I guess.
So, like,
I
do
guess.
you track that at all, or
Oh,
you?
I do. In
Oh,
fact,
okay.
like with the Port Jeff over the past few months, I like doubled our budget out there, and I already see booking more new patients every day than we did before. It's crazy.
In deciding on a location, I guess one, what was your thought process in let's go from store 7 to store 8, and how did you pick Port Jefferson as the location? I mean, did you do seat of the pants? Did you do very detailed analysis?
That one was one of my landlords in my other offices opened up a building out there, and he was begging me to go into his new building because I'm a great tenant, obviously, and a long-term tenant. So he introduced me to this particular location for that one. But it's all about just knowing the area, feeling if it's a good location. It's got to have street level presence to be seen. It can't be tucked away in a little office medical building. You'll never get, I mean, you'll get patients, but it'll take a lot longer. So that was from the landlord. Yeah. That one. Yeah.
Have you bought any of the real estate that you're located in, or are you thinking about doing that?
Thinking definitely that will be my next. Yeah, definitely.
And we actually had a guest a long time ago whose father was in the business. I guess he was a plastic surgeon, and they calculated how much rent they had paid over a 30-year period, and it was well into seven figures. I mean, obviously for a younger dentist, that's the challenge to come up with the capital to make that
Yeah.
purchase. But now you've got so much scale, that probably opens up a lot of opportunity for you.
100%. Like my next office will not be a lease. It'll be a purchase for sure. Yeah.
Do you know where your next office is going to
I'm
be?
actually in the process of looking at locations now. Yeah.
Why are you going to open another location?
I don't know. There must be something wrong with me. I sometimes wonder, I wonder the same thing. People just like, are you gonna open it? They want me to do it. It's like they know that I'm gonna do it soon. And so when's number 9 coming? I'm like, I don't know. I guess I have to do it, right? I have no idea. I guess while I'm still young enough and I have expenses to pay and kids to feed, I guess for now I'll keep doing it until I decide I'm too tired of it. I will tell you though, it's getting tiring with the work ethic in the world today. It's really exhausting and it makes you not want to do another office.
I imagine it must be frustrating. I mean, do you have in your head, like, you don't have to say which ones, but do you have in your head of like, okay, Office 4 is like, that's the model. That's the one we want to be like. Office 2 could be more like 4. Like, do you have like kind of an internal map of that? Or is it just kind of like they're,
No, thankfully, I'm proud of each and every one. Thankfully, there's a good team in each and every one, thankfully. So no, thank God. Yeah, no.
so with these hiring challenges, it's just kind of in general and kind of sporadic where,
Yeah, it's just a different world now. Like it's hard to get people to work, and maybe being in New York is harder because it's definitely not a very owner-friendly environment being in New York. It's
Mhm.
more of a employee-friendly environment. So it's a lot more expensive to be in business in New York.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about, they don't have to be catastrophic, but did you have any like major challenges or kind of unexpected surprises in the business aspect of things, or something that people can learn from that was like a really big challenge and kind of how you overcame it?
I mean, nothing, thankfully, nothing like super catastrophic. I mean, other than COVID, that was fun. Nothing really like, yeah, I've had locations where I've bid on places and thought I was going to get it. And then Verizon came in and took over, the spot from me. But I always think that everything's meant to be and it's nothing's really a big deal anymore. I mean, I guess I've had those challenges early on. And then, look, I didn't think I was going to own any offices. And here I am. Like, and I think in the beginning, I was like, oh, I have to open my own office. This really sucks. But it was the best thing. And it was thank God that other partner was so bad because if he wasn't, I would have been stuck in just this one office, which is not even existing anymore. So, yeah.
Talk a little bit about your advisors, accounting, tax, legal, other, and kind of the duration of some of these relationships and how you found people and how do you utilize them.
So let's see, I started with a solo practitioner accountant who was very nice and lovely, but then as I grew bigger, he just wasn't enough for us. So we had to switch over to a bigger firm, which I've done recently. So that was very helpful. Saving on taxes is always good. My admin office is new. So that's like my 9th office. It's an administrative office that I opened up a couple years ago. And I basically put everyone in-house there. So insurance is in-house there, human resources, payroll. So that has helped a lot as well. Yeah, getting all that in there.
And where's that central office
That is
located?
in the Syosset area.
And so I assume you had to take into account where people are located so that you found a central
Correct.
location and
Yes,
it's off
correct.
the expressway and
Right off the expressway. It's like in the
uh-huh.
middle of Long Island.
What about an exit strategy? Have you started thinking about that yet? And how there's, corporate companies, I'm assuming that's kind of the only type of thing that could take
Yeah.
over for
Yeah,
you. Is
correct.
that like,
Yeah.
are you trying to prepare for that now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm kind of my own DSO. Just I'm not owned by a corporation. And I've had corporations come and speak to us, and they're interested. And then when you go through the process with them, and you're like looking at what they're gonna do, I'm sitting there like, well, I already do this, so why do I need you? And then why do I need to give you half of my value of my practice for doing what I'm already doing? So it just didn't seem worthwhile to me yet. But I have looked into it, I have, yeah. And I guess the end game is to do that eventually. I don't know what's going to happen because a lot of those DSOs are not doing too well. So I don't know
No,
what's
it's
going to
true.
happen. Yeah.
What about, I ask this question a lot, AI? Is that something that you're thinking about, that you're incorporating
Oh,
into your
totally.
practice? Can
Yeah.
you speak to that in what ways and
Oh,
the
I think
challenge of
I
it?
think AI mention ever. I think that everyone needs to be on their toes for it. It's common for every industry. I am very open to using it. I do use it now. I will incorporate it clinically. There's going to be I'm just waiting for the software to improve. So there's going to be like X-ray reading AI, which I think all dentists are going to have. I think in medicine, you're going to have it too. Otherwise, I don't think insurance companies are going to reimburse you unless you have it. So I'm definitely looking at that. I'm definitely looking at AI for phone call answering, billing. I mean, bring it on. Bring it on. I think it's going to be a huge factor for us. Yeah. And everybody.
And do you think it's going to change the structure of your team and
Yeah, I do.
and are you trying to sensitize people to learning how to incorporate AI tools into what their jobs are and enhance productivity, things like that?
Yes. And doing it now.
Any concerns about AI in terms of the future of your
I,
practice?
I think for dentists, I don't think AI is going to threaten us too much yet. I don't think there's going to be any robots that are going to be able to do our job just yet. So I think we're okay for a while, maybe a half a decade to a decade. I don't know. To 100 years, maybe 10 decades. I do think it's going to have an effect on the front desk, personnel, billers, and things of that nature for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Making appointments online, patients will be able to do that. We don't have to have somebody answering the phone and making appointments anymore eventually.
Yeah.
crazy.
Don't you think? Yeah.
Totally,
Yes.
totally. I think you told me you have daughters that none of them are interested in being dentists. Is that
That would be a
right?
good out for me. I have one pre-med daughter right now, but she has swore to me that she thinks dentistry is disgusting and has zero interest. Oh, I don't
Fair,
know.
fair. I feel like I get a lot of people ask me, they're like, do you like being in people's mouths all the time? I'm like,
I
I
know. I'm
mean,
like,
it's
I don't look
part of
at
the
it that way.
job. So if they were going to be going into dentistry, like what would you recommend for them? Kind of just things that they can work on and learn maybe to prepare themselves best.
If they're going to do dentistry, I would probably not to make you worried, Kylie, but I think I would say not to go into orthodontics
Because of
because
AI.
I fear of the AI. Yeah, I do. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I want them to be happy. I don't care what they do as long as they're happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. You're
Totally.
you're only as happy as your unhappiest child. That is a fact.
Totally. Right, Dad?
Right,
For
Michael?
for sure, for sure.
We like to end each episode with like a funny anecdote or from practicing or from your schooling that other clinicians can relate to.
I think just for me, be prepared to be open to any opportunity. You never know where the road will end. For me, I never, ever, ever thought I would own 8 offices in my stage now. I thought I just wanted a little job and I never even dreamed as big as I have now. So, take it one day at a time and just be open to anything and don't let any mishaps think that your life is over. It could just be actually the best thing ever meant to be,
I love it. I
as it
love
was
it.
for
So
me.
true.
Yeah.
Are you hiring anyone at the moment?
I'm always hiring.
Okay, great. And how can people, dentists probably looking to work, where can they find you?
Oh, definitely. I think if they go to the website, call me or email anything. Definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're always looking. We're always hiring doctors. And hopefully if I open up a ninth office, I'll definitely need more doctors and staff. Yeah.
And do you
Sure.
guys have an Instagram account, website? Like, where's the best way for people to find you?
I think the website, kidsmiles.com, for
Awesome.
sure. Yeah.
Great. This was so much
This was
fun. Thank you
fun.
for
Nice to
taking the
meet you,
time.
Michael.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you.
You're like very pro at this. Amazing.
We're working on it. We're working on
It's
it.
Amazing.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh, great. Love it. All right. Take
Awesome. All
care,
right.
guys.
Have a good weekend.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye bye now.
Thanks for listening to Medical Morons. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.